Happy Saturday, everyone. I'm Dr. Medill, and I'm the Audience Experience Coordinator for the ASU Art Museum. And today we're going to be reading No Dragons on My Quilt. Benjamin went to visit his grandmother. He liked being at her house, with the bedroom upstairs and the cookie jar on a low shelf in the kitchen. It's a good place for a cookie jar. What he didn't like was going to bed at night when he was all alone. Then Benjamin's eyes got as round as the moon. "Grandma," he called, "Grandma, I need one more story. Then I can go to sleep." So she read him one more story. "Now off to bed," she said, and she tucked him in and hugged him and said good night. "Grandma," he called, "Grandma, I need one more drink of water. Then I can go to sleep." So she gave him one more drink of water. "Now off to bed," she said, and then she tucked him in and kissed him and said good night. "Grandma," he called, "Grandma, I need one more little cookie. Then I can go to sleep." Do you remember where the cookie jar is? So Grandma brought the cookie jar and let Benjamin reach in for one more cookie. "Now off to bed," she said, and she tucked him in. "Grandma, oh Grandma, I think I left my toys outside. I'd better bring them in, then I can go to sleep." So Benjamin and his grandmother went outside to look. No toys were in the backyard. No toys were in the front yard. All the toys had been put in the garage. "Oh," said Benjamin, "I guess I forgot." "Now off to bed," his grandmother said, "and this is the last time." And she tucked him in and said good night. "Grandma," he called, "Grandma, I need to brush my teeth. Then I can go to sleep." So they found his toothbrush, and Benjamin squeezed out the toothpaste, and he brushed his teeth. "Now off to bed," she said, and she tucked him in. "Grandma," he called, "oh Grandma, I think I hear a noise. I think a dragon is coming to get my bear. I think a dragon is coming to get me." So his grandmother leaned out the window and looked, but she saw no dragons. Then Benjamin leaned out the window and looked, and he didn't see any dragons either. His grandmother leaned out the window one more time and looked again. There were no dragons anywhere. "Now off to bed," she said. "Grandma," called Benjamin, "oh Grandma, I need some company. Then I can go to sleep." And his grandmother said, "I know just the thing you need. You need a quilt." "A what?" asked Benjamin. "A quilt?" "Yes," said his grandmother, "a quilt." "Bring me my sewing basket," said his grandmother, and she took all her scraps of cloth out of the basket. And from one scrap of fabric, she cut a sailboat, and she sewed it to another piece of cloth. Then she cut out the shapes for a glass of water, and she sewed them on another piece of cloth. Next, she cut out cookies and cocoa, then a toothbrush and a roller skate and an apple and a truck, and ice cream cones, a flashlight, and of course, a teddy bear. She sewed and sewed the cloth shapes until every picture was done. That sounds like a lot of sewing. Then Benjamin's grandmother laid out all the pictures on the floor to see how they looked. She added squares of red and green and strips of blue. Then she sewed all the pieces of cloth together. She sewed and sewed and sewed some more, and she quilted and quilted and quilted until the whole quilt was done. There, said Benjamin's grandmother, there is your quilt. And she wrapped it around Benjamin. It felt all warm and snuggly and fluffy. It felt just right. This quilt, she said, has everything you need. Your book, a drink of water, some cookies, a toothbrush, all of your toys, and the sun, the moon, and the stars. Benjamin yawned. Grandma, he whispered, Grandma, are there any dragons on my quilts? Benjamin's grandmother held the quilt up and looked very carefully all over the top of the quilts. And she looked very carefully all over the back of the quilts. No, Benjamin, she said, there are no dragons on your quilts. Good, said Benjamin, no dragons on my quilt. And she snuggled down, and he snuggled down on his pillow deep under his new quilt and said, good night. And Benjamin went right to sleep. The end. That was such a great story. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you all next week. Have a good weekend.